Hello and welcome back to Underlab, where I've looked at 10 of the most unbelievable theories, 10 obscure facts, 10 secret characters, and 10 disturbing bits of trivia. So why not talk about the 10 most hidden secrets within Undertale? Now I don't mean Gaster or So Sorry. I realise a lot of people know about those things by now. I'm trying to find some seriously hidden away stuff that there's a good chance you never knew about. Once again, some of these things may be small, but they can actually have a huge impact on the story. Just what exactly do I mean by that then? Well, watch and find out. It's time to discover 10 amazing Undertale secrets. Number 10, the foreshadowed ending. This was first pointed out to me by my patron, Zelda Butterfay. Now if you've ever beaten Undertale's pacifist path, you'll know about its rather beautiful ending, where you and your friends look at the sun after spending so long trapped underground. There's a few mysteries here. On the left we have a second mountain next to Mount Ebott, and on the right there's what appears to be the ruins of a castle. Now it's these ruins in particular that are of interest. If we go all the way back to Snowdin and then into the tavern, behind the bunny innkeeper we can see a painting. The resemblance to the ruins at the end is uncanny, so much so it's almost certainly a depiction of the same place. This tells us some really interesting facts, as it indicates that the monsters at least lived in the Mount Ebott region before they were sealed underground, and there's a good chance that the castle we see at the end was originally built by them. It's quite possibly where the Dreamer family once ruled over their kingdom. Number 9, Flowey hates it when you kill yourself. Here's a funny little Easter egg based on the trick Flowey plays on us way back in the ruins. When he becomes a Mega Flowey, there's a point where he has us surrounded by bullets, a lot like he did back at the start of the game. However, this time they're just a prison to hold us still while the remainder of the story unfolds. Rather than bothering to listen to him though, we can repeatedly send ourselves flying into the wall of bullets, thereby killing ourselves, and eventually Flowey humorously demands that we stop. Who knew that by dying over and over we could irritate our enemies? Number 8, secret sprites. Here's something you'd never know about unless you've looked it up online or dug deep into Undertale's sprite folder. There's a ton of unused sprites that could have implications about hidden lore within the game. For example, there's the 98 robot that I covered in my secret characters video. As I speculated then, this is probably a prototype design for Metaton. Then there's other royal guards that never made it into the full game. I talked about these guys a long time ago, and chances are they were just removed because there's already 2 notable guards in game. Finally, there's a few I haven't talked about before, such as this sprite called Stable. It depicts an extremely crudely drawn stable, which indicates that maybe a farm was once planned to appear in Undertale. However, this evidently didn't happen, and all that remains is this rather ugly sprite. Number 7, the secret origin of the statue. Now you probably already know that by giving the statue in Waterfall an umbrella, you'll learn that you need to play his theme on the piano to access a secret room. What you might not have known is why it seems to be raining on the statue constantly. Now I actually mentioned this a long time ago in my video called The Secret of the Shrine, but I think it's so clever that I have to bring it up again. Also, I wasn't the one to originally suggest it. That credit goes to the Undertale science blog. In Metaton Resort, we see a statue of Metaton constantly pouring water onto the floor. Eventually, it's going to soak through. What if it's directly above the statue in Waterfall, and that's where all the water is coming from? After all, it does seem like a very specific place, for there not to be a constant stream, but a few unrelenting drops of water. Number 6, Undyne's battle damage. Did you know that the battle with Undyne is affected by your decision on the bridge? At the point where we can either choose to save Monster Kid or to run away, Undyne is put in a hard position. Should we force her to save Monster Kid, she takes some damage in the process. Even though it's hardly noticeable, she actually starts off a little weaker in a subsequent fight against her. What makes this a little more interesting is that Toby originally planned to have her sprite reflect this fact, making her armor chipped and damaged, though for whatever reason he didn't go through with it. Still, the health reduction remains, and it's certainly one of the lesser known secrets about Undertale. Number 5, the soul of the core. Here's something I've talked about a few times in the past, but it never stopped being interesting. So few people pointed it out, but it raises a plethora of questions. Deep within the true lab, we find a generator that supposedly powers the elevators around the core. We turn it back on to escape, but what's incredibly suspect about it is the fact that a red soul appears to be within the center of the device. We're never given an explanation as to just what exactly we're looking at. I've previously speculated that it could be CHARA's red soul. As we know, human souls don't disappear after death, but CHARA's soul isn't within the containers along with the rest. So where did it go? Could it be that CHARA's soul was used for everything to do with Alfie's experiments with soul magic? If that's where she extracted her determination from and it ended up creating something as evil as Flowey, you really have to wonder just what exactly is being implied by that. Number 4, the dog shrine. Now this isn't too secret secret if you own the PS4 version of Undertale. However, if you only have the PC version, chances are you have no idea what this even is. That's because it's only available on the PS4 version of Undertale. Beneath Papyrus's sink, the annoying dog has established a shrine for all his loyal patrons. Here you can donate over and over to slowly add to the shrine, upgrading it over and over, which will surely amount to something amazing. Except, it really doesn't. By the end of it, the shrine is bigger, there's some strange things around the room, and that's it. Either way, PC users aren't really missing out on much other than the chance to pointlessly give away their gold. As always, Toby continues to create only the most thought-provoking content. Number 3, the Skeleton Family. As you surely already know, Sans and Papyrus are brothers, but did you know that they have a grandfather? Within the game files of the original Undertale demo is a song called Grandpa Semi. This song was later repurposed for the full game as Grandpa Temi. Semi is quite likely to be related to Sans and Papyrus, considering that this name is part of a font, like semi-serif. While this character seems to have been cut from development, he may still exist within the lore, along with WD Gaster. Gaster is speculated to also be related to the two skeletons, as the WD surely refers to the font Wingdings, giving them all something in common. So the skeletons may very well have a family 4 people big, and Gaster could quite easily fit in as the father of Papyrus and Sans, with Semi in turn the father of Gaster. That's just speculation naturally, but it's interesting to think that the skeletons actually have a pretty big family, only rivaled by the Dreamer family itself. Number 2, EarthBound is everywhere. I'm sure the fact that Undertale was inspired by EarthBound is nothing new to you. However, did you know how far EarthBound is connected to Undertale? To begin with, Toby sampled certain sounds from EarthBound for parts of Undertale's soundtrack. The protagonists of both games are children wearing stripy shirts, with Frisk from Undertale and Ness from EarthBound. The phone Toriel gives us, and the ability to in turn talk to her by using it, is a reference to how we can phone our mother in EarthBound, just like how we can phone our own monster stepmother in Undertale. When we reach the barrier, the sound it makes is an altered version of Gygas's breathing from EarthBound. The horrifying appearance of Omega FLOWEY is very likely a reference to EarthBound as well, considering the drastic contrast the final bosses of both games make compared to everything that came before. EarthBound even ends by showing us the various characters we met throughout the game, just like Undertale does. And finally, of course, Sans is Ness. No, not really. Number 1, CHARA is always present. Now this isn't to do with CHARA's lingering presence, as I mentioned in my Disturbing Facts video. Actually, it's something entirely different. At the beginning of the game, we give a name to the human who fell down before us, otherwise known as CHARA. We see the name we chose when we open the menu screen and during battles. However, at the end of the pacifist route, it's revealed that the character we play as is apparently called Frisk. Opening our menu still shows the name we chose though, even during the game's epilogue. While this can be explained as that we just named a different character, why exactly do we see their name so often throughout Frisk's adventure? Then you have to remember, we somehow bring CHARA back on the genocide path. The only explanation is that Frisk is in some way intrinsically tied to CHARA, which is something I've attempted to explain with many different theories in the past. I've made this the number 1 secret as something still just doesn't add up, and even though it's there in plain sight, it's still possibly one of the greatest mysteries in Undertale. Well, that's it for another top 10. I touched on some relatively well-known secrets here and there, but also some really obscure ones to give you a nice mix of Undertale facts. Be sure to tell me if I taught you anything new, as I'd be quite astonished if nothing in this video was surprising to you. Also, which facts out of these 10 did you find the most interesting? For me, I think the indirect lore we're given by inferring from the paintings in Snowdin is both very clever and very intriguing. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't let CHARA attach themselves to your existence, and I'll see you next time. Before I go, I'd just like to say a massive thank you to my patrons, my head scientists Asgorn Shi, Cameron Vigil, Kay Jensen, Sophronius and Mary, and my Underlab scientists Crystal Sleet, Nicholas Dux, Armin Arlett, Marisa Ray, Corey Kidwell, Yushio Koroni, Sarah Wydra and Emily Gatewood. If you enjoyed this video, please consider checking out the Patreon link below, as well as the video that explains why I'd so massively appreciate your contribution.